What's going on, guys? Wes back with another video, and if you don't know who I am, I have a background in biochemistry and patent law, and I used to work with startups, so I'm a huge nerd about why companies start, what they're seeing that's not out on the market, and what they're trying to fix with the new products, and kind of the methodology behind their design. In this video, this is just a first impression video of the new shoe. This is the R.A.D, the RAD 1. Again, first iteration. So as far as Reebok and Nike are concerned, RAD's got a long journey ahead of themselves, but there's a lot of great information. I spoke with the CEO of RAD, Ben, and I met the whole staff that was at Wodapalooza, and everyone couldn't have been nicer. So I'm really excited to see a new player on the market and exactly what they're trying to fix. Now, my first impressions of the shoe is that this is the best shoe that I've already felt for running longer distances, like anything over 800 meters. Because of what a cross-training shoe is, that it has to handle, you know, cardio, plyo, and then also the heavy power lifts and Olympic lifts, you have to sacrifice a lot of the cushioning, and cushioning's not always that great. So a lot of people like to go barefoot. I tend to go barefoot as much as possible on power lifts, but this shoe is comprised of this foam, and actually, if you've ever worn Allbirds, it's this open sourced foam that Allbirds has allowed, I guess, others to use, wrapped in this very thick and fine material, which kind of firms it up. So as far as any cross-training shoe I've ever used, I would have no problem running a mile in. So like the next time I do Murph, this is probably gonna be my shoe. I will say that it's a little, my feet are a little squozen in here, and that's because I wear a 12 wide traditionally. They didn't have a 12 and a half. I would size up a half size if you do have a wide foot, just to give you a little extra room in the toe box. It's not narrow, but it's not wide. And 12s were the biggest size that they had at the event, so I just used them and just wanted to get my hands on them. Eventually, when they start making them in a couple months, the bigger sizes, I'm gonna go ahead and get me their blue pair. They only come in 2 colorways of the 12 and a halves. But overall, I enjoyed the shoe. I enjoyed talking to Ben and the rest of the staff at the event, and I think that they've got a great future just from the first iteration of their shoe. It's amazing. You know, he says it took 2 years of development, so just imagine that you're going to want to start a company, but you're not going to see any sort of product on the market for 2 years, which is unbelievable. So I'm going to do a more deep dive, and the way I like to do reviews is I really need to test it for probably 3 to 4 weeks minimum, get a ton of workouts in, use every movement there is in cross training, and then after I do that, I can give my actual educated impression and review of the shoe, and that way I can do some further research, figure out if there's anything else proprietary about the shoe. Anyway, those are my first impressions. Enjoy this conversation. I gotta apologize about the audio ahead of time. It's at Wodapalooza. I'm just very thankful that he could afford the time that he could as he's running around, shaking hands, and just enjoying the event of his new product release. So enjoy the video, and I look forward to training in this shoe. This will be my go-to shoe for the next month minimum. Where'd the concept come from? Like, why did you decide, what was it that the market was suffering from that made you guys want to make this shoe?
Yeah.
And kind of the methodology behind how you designed and why certain things are the way they are.
Sure. So the shoe was kind of born out of the feeling I had that all the shoes on the market performed amazingly well. And they did that really, really well. But aesthetically, I felt like nothing was what I would want to wear outside of the gym. So we started there, and it was like sketching a shoe that I felt you could wear in the gym, but also you'd be happy to wear outside. And then from there, it was about how can we now integrate all the performance features into that shoe. And we looked at a lot of different things, and I think what we came up with is a really sort of clever, innovative way of not hiding, but subtly having the performance features in there that everyone wants when they're training hard, doing rope climbs, lifting, running, handstand push-ups. But hopefully there's an aesthetic which is a bit more street or skatey. So we used on the upper, we used a microfiber overlay, which is a bit more premium lifestyle. And then of course you got your performance mesh. And then through the tooling, we encase the foam in this TPU cage. So the foam that we use is what you'd normally find in a running shoe. It's really soft. So it's really nice for plyometrics, but for lifting, that's not great. By wrapping it in the TPU, you then have that stability. It kind of locks you down. And then on the sole, we use a super grippy herringbone. It's like the most performance tested outsole ever. So we were like, well, let's go with that. That'd be great for sled pushes, really good grip when you're on any surface. And then we have like the standard flip,
The protruding.
RAD. And it's a design important.
Yeah, so you had mentioned with people that were involved with the Nike Design Lab, like helps?
Yeah, so right back 20 years ago, they were there, they set it up, and then since then they've moved on, they've been involved in performance basketball at the big names, and then he moved on and he started his own studio. And I contacted him, and initially he was like, no, he didn't take me seriously. He's like, I'm really busy. I just kept hounding him, and I went there in August of 2019. I was like, I'm here, I want to show you the brand. And from there he was like, I'm in. And then we found a development agency.
Wait, what changed his mind?
Seeing the brand.
Okay.
Seeing the brand, seeing what we wanted to do. It was different. We have an element of, I don't want to use the word sustainability, but we try and incorporate materials that are better for the environment.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, because isn't shoe like a highly pollutant usually with like the foam?
So the foam, the glue that you have in the shoe is terrible.
Okay.
It's really bad. And it's all based from like oil, traditional oil,
Yeah, I figured.
petroleum-based materials. So we're using a foam for the midsole that is 30% sugarcane, 70% petroleum. And we hope that as we improve that formula, we can increase the bio.
And where are these made?
These are made in Dongguan, China.
Okay.
Which is like the performance shoe mecca.
Yeah.
Of the planet.
Did you guys, is that like where you guys have to go, or did you guys explore like manufacturing?
Yeah, really good question. So one of the big pollutants of footwear is the actual shipping them around the world.
Yeah.
So we were trying to produce in Mexico because we knew our main market was going to be the US, but they don't have the machines. You know, they have like one of the machines, where in China they've got 100. So there's just no economy to scale by going there.
Yeah, and then it's like skilled labor too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like I tried to find like a made in the US shoe, and then it made me explore, and I talked to like founders of different companies, and they said it's just not possible
No.
without making like a $400 shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
It would literally have to be $700 plus, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then plus you're probably going to bring the raw materials from China anyway,
Right.
because that's where they're all going to
Exactly.
in the first place. So it's going to be a very, very long journey on trying to minimize our impact.
Yeah.
But I think as a business and as a modern company, that should be standard. You know, everyone should be doing it. So that's a really like strong part of the brand. We're a member of 1% for the planet. So 1% of all our revenues we donate
Oh, beautiful.
to environmental causes.
That seems to be a pretty common business model now, which is great.
I think it should be common. You know, it shouldn't be a differentiator.
Yeah. And how long did this take to develop?
Development took 2.5 years.
Really?
Yeah, because the pandemic slowed things down, and it was like bad from a timeline, but from a ability to get into a better factory, it meant they took their minimums from 20,000 down to 4,000.
Okay.
So there's only 1,000 pairs in each colorway,
Okay.
and then once they're gone, we run out.
Okay. And then like is there anything like specifically proprietary about like the way you guys designed it?
Yeah, so we've purely gone on aesthetics, like trademarking. You probably know, like the guys with the big swoosh.
Yeah.
They've only just managed to like register their famous basketball shoe. It's really hard to kind of register those things.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that we have as owned, but we've just kind of gone for an aesthetic that we like.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just gonna be the look, the feel,
Exactly.
and then it's a very like minimalist.
Yeah.
And I love the design. You don't need to. One thing I've realized, like testing out these different shoes, is in my opinion there kind of tends to be some BS behind it. It's like, oh, we added this like we'll talk about the guys with the big swoosh. They added like this wraparound thing for rope climbs. I'm like, I've never had a shoe that has rubbed so much from rope climbing.
No, I know, and I think that's the thing is like. You can call it out, and that's what they do, and
Yeah.
that's great, and people love it. And for me, it's like I want people to know that all the features are there,
Yeah.
but we're not going to like shout that.
And then what's the price point for the shoe?
These are $150.
$150. Okay. And then yeah, I would imagine a lot of that has to do with current ability to buy in bulk versus you guys being a startup.
Exactly, and like the foam we're using, like the tooling we're using is about $8 more than your normal cost.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So then for every dollar you spend on your cost, you're meant to add $5 to the retail.
Really?
That kind
Yeah.
of gives you an idea of.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very expensive for tooling.
That's the kind of the behind the scenes. Like, I try. People accuse me for like rationalizing pricing sometimes. And I'm like, listen, if you talk about the scale of a business, where Nike's even selling their product for like $135,
Yeah.
but they're also making incredible margins
And
because
they're
they
making
buy.
millions.
Right. Versus if you buy from like a startup company like you guys are out, the tooling, the amount that you can buy in ones, and like it's just gonna like get better. But no, that's like I appreciate like all the information you just shared because that's exactly what I look for and try to break down. Because it's more beyond like I don't like just buy this shoe, this is how it performs. I like who I'm buying from, what's their methodology, what's their thought process, am I buying some BS? And then I like to know, okay, we did this for this reason, we're doing this behind the scenes, and then that makes me feel better as a consumer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think, as you said, it's about, you know, being genuine and being authentic.
Yeah.
You know, I think people are ready for a new aesthetic. You know, we try and be bright and light, and we're trying to bring like skate and surf culture to training.
Yeah.
That's what we really want to do, and I think if you do that, your product needs to reflect that.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be about, you know, performance. It should also be about the lifestyle.
Exactly, yeah. And what's RAD stand for?
R.A.D. stands for, so externally it's RAD, it's just like cool.
Yeah.
And then internally it's rally against destruction.
Okay.
So that's like, internally we're trying to minimize our impact, but externally we're just like,
I mean, yeah, I like that. Double meanings.
Yeah.
That's always like the smartest. And then you guys have your new logo and stuff.
yeah, so that's our little R.
Okay.
That's an R. And then the RAD one is the model.
And this is your first product line for RAD?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we started development on the running shoe. So that should come out beginning of next year.
Yeah.
And then the third shoe we're looking at is going to be a skate shoe that you can train in.
Okay. Anything that you can train in?
Yeah.
That's kind of like how it started, right? Like people were skating with Jordan 1s before they were popular, and
Or
Vans,
Vans,
and
exactly.
Chuck Taylors and stuff.
That's what
Yeah.
we do.
It always super interests me too when I tell people like, okay, here is going to be how I test out the like cross-training shoes,
Yeah.
because they're a jack of all trades, master of none. So I imagine on the design side, it's like, okay, we can add this, which will be,
This is going to do this.
but it's going to reduce this and
Yeah,
this.
so the designer, he was always trying to find this balance in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, if we like strip out rubber from the outsole,
Yeah.
it's going to make it lighter, but it's not going to be as durable. Yeah. If we reduce this wrap, it's going to be easier to construct. It will be cheaper to make. It's not going to be as durable. So there's loads of elements in there that we're always like balancing around.
Yeah.
Durability, flexibility, how heavy is it? All those things kind of, we're trying to find that perfect place in the middle. Like an athlete, you don't want to be great at anything, you want to be good.
Right. And you call this the RAD 1, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming the first iteration of many, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.